There we go. That's good.
Okay. There are 5 subtopics. The first one is about how to bridge testing and learning. It is for my personal long journey. Why learning is so important? How can we get a benefit from AI? The second one, I'm going to discuss about history. It is untold history. Actually, AI application began in education. So I will share this very interesting story with you. The third one is AI in action for the future of personalized education. So this is my emphasis. And how we deal with so many tasks, learning, working, and with AI help, we can do much better. The fourth one will be, introduce something basic about algorithm. Okay, of course, I won't present so many formulas. I will just present something very intuitive and just to give you some idea. The last one is very important. That means how can we use AI to improve our learning? Actually, I want to say how can we become a lifelong learner in the AI age? Okay, the first one is about learning, about my personal journey. I want to share with you my working experience. I'm currently a professor in educational psychology and research methodology, and also I'm professor of statistics in Purdue. And before that, I worked 13 years as a professor and also associate professor at the University of Illinois. So my appointment was divided by 2 departments. One is education, the other is psychology. That means my work is very interdisciplinary. And also, before I moved to Illinois, I worked at UT Austin for about 4 years. And also before Austin, I worked in an organization called the National Board of Medical Examiners. That's its testing company who is responsible for physician's license exam, which is located in Philadelphia. And then I worked, before that, I worked at ETS for 7 years. So this is my long history. So actually, I should honestly tell you, I'm a late bloomer. It's unlike many professors at Purdue. They graduate from high school, then they enter the college, then they become graduate students, then they graduate, then become professor. I just, went through the long journey. But before that, okay, so my education, I had my undergraduate education from East China Normal University, which is located in Shanghai. My major was mathematics. And I went to United States, come to United States and received a master's degree in statistics from UC and also PhD in statistics. But before that, I want to share with you my history. Actually, I'm the one who could not finish junior high because of the Cultural Revolution. So everyone, many of you may know the Cultural Revolution. During the Cultural Revolution that started in 1966 to 1976, there were about 20 million young people were sent to villages. Most of them are urban teenagers. So I worked the farm for 7 years and almost completed my high school education by self-study. 7 years is a long time. So that's the reason I call myself late bloomer. That's why I want to emphasize lifelong learner is very important. You can learn everything if you're determined. Also, plus their technology is ready. We can, do many, many things through my example. I want to share you when I was in the countryside, I lived, this is one of the buildings I used to live from 1974 to 1977. As a farm, I wrote in my diary, as a farm worker, I had to do backbreaking work from sunrise to sunset. However, no matter how hard life was at that time, I never stopped self-regulated learning. I believed that knowledge would set me free one day. At that time, I just brought with me some textbook from high school and reading this textbook again and again, doing homework, then beg some friends for help. And I learned English from listening Voice of American radio broadcasting. At that time, that was online learning at the time. Okay, this is my journey. I came to the United States in 1984. I attribute my success to the US high education. I arrived at UIUC from China in December 1984, long time ago. As a student with only $60 in my top pocket, many kind people touched my life and made me feel welcome. I strongly felt that university provide a platform for students from different backgrounds. And one thing I want to emphasize about the UIUC, they generated so many good psychometricians. I will say what is a psychometrician later, okay? There is an organization called Psychometric Society. UIUC has produced 14 presidents of the Psychometric Society. And some of them are very famous. All of them are famous. This is Cronbach, Lee Cronbach. Everybody knows Cronbach alpha. No matter which discipline you are, people are talking about reliability, and he invented Cronbach alpha. There are so many good things, good people, they did good work. So I under very heavy influence under this culture and educational system. At that time, because psychometric is a relatively small field, and it's interdisciplinary, it's multidisciplinary actually. And after my graduate, I joined a testing company called Educational Testing Service. I worked there for 7 years. And then I took 1 year leave of absence, went to Hong Kong, and I taught Hong Kong, the Chinese university for 1 year. What did I teach? Learning theory. Because I'm a lifelong learner. I consider my life learner. I had so many experience how to do this self-regulated learning. And also, because, I have textbook, I just combine Western textbook with Chinese culture. And sometimes, in between, something like, I remember one class I need to teach something called the mnemonics, how to remember things. But textbooks examples are from France, and Hong Kong students could not understand the story. So I just found out it's about how to remember things once you see the number, the record word. It's something like mapping. When you see the number, you record the word, right? All of a sudden, I found that I realized, there's a movie called Sound of Music, Do, Re, Mi, right? Do is a one, do is a deer, right? I just sing the song, the students, they clap hands. Okay, and after 1 year stay in Hong Kong, I decided to come back to the United States because my dream is to become professor at a major university, US university. By that time, I was not ready because after so many years, you are not on the track of academia, and people will judge you very, very carefully, And I just, at that time, I joined a company called the National Board of Medical Examiners. And I worked with doctors there and developed some very good tests, performance-based. At that time, of course, we did some machine learning. Okay, I will show you some very interesting example. Okay, Educational Testing Service is located in Princeton, New Jersey. Or it's type O should be NJ, Princeton, New Jersey. Okay, there were about 3,000 employees. Of course, their products, you may know, TOEFL, GRE, SAT, and all kinds of, test products. And I worked with many psychometricians. So now I would like to share introduce what is psychometrics. Psychometrics and psychometricians. Psychometrics literally means psychological measurement. It refers to the methodology for designing, administrating, and interpreting measurement of individual constructs such as ability, aptitude, attitude, personality, all these. So it's a measurement, it's not physical measurement. It's called mental measurement. And we have to use something called the latent variable because these variables are latent. If we are talking about math ability, can you see his math ability? No, it's a latent variable. So how to get measure from latent variable? This is an ongoing, very important mission. Particularly now, we need to communicate with AI. How let AI understand you? We need to use some measure, right? Like a learning progress, we try to measure how much you have already achieved. What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses, right? We need to inform AI so AI can help you. So this measurement is very important. So that's the reason psychometricians can play very important role. Psychometricians, basically, they are from educational psychology, education measurement, quantitative psychology, and statistics. And okay, this is about measurement. Measurement is important. Not only, we try to measure your score, we try to see your true performance, true ability, reliability, and validity, these kind of terms. But also we try to making learning diagnose. Through measurement, we can know what should you do. Like my old time, okay, at the time, no measurement. I have to back this person, back that person, back those who are older, who learn this. Okay, but right now, I think you don't have to do this. There are so many materials online, so many assessment kits online. You can do this. You can use this material very efficiently. Okay, well, let's talk about learning. It's about adaptive learning or about personalized learning. Personalized learning, the idea is not new. Many people had already proposed, like Confucius, Socrates, Dewey. They all emphasize personalized learning. But who can afford personalized one-to-one learning? Okay, according to Time magazine, published a paper in 2013, it is impossible to provide one-to-one teaching on a mass scale. We're talking about mass scale. We're talking about 100 students, 200 students, millions of students. How could you afford personalized learning, right? But technology enables us to get closer than ever before. Because of technology, we are getting closer, right? Well, remember, as I mentioned, AI application started in education. I should say large-scale AI application started in education. Okay, the system called the Plato system, computer-assisted instruction, developed by University of Illinois back in 1970s. At that time, professors and technicians built a huge system called the Plato. That Plato did develop many courses, several hundred courses. So the idea is, personalized learning. You can go to the library, sit at terminal, touch the screen, answer some questions, then the computer will route you to what is the next. But at that time, we don't have internet. We did not have internet. We did not have PC. We only had mainframe, CDC mainframe. At that time, there was no CRT, no plasma, no nothing. At that time, in order to make people can make interaction with the computer, before that, people use, typed some tape, just like a telegraph code. You just type it, then read the tape, then computer can understand you. Two professors at UIUC, they invented something called the plasma. Plasma display, you touch the screen. Okay, that two professors later received the Emmy Award because the plasma later, they use in TV industry, they developed plasma TV, right? Plasma, there are so many advantages of plasma, particularly, when the thing is so dark, plasma can give you some very, very detailed than LED. Okay, they received, the award. Well, because of a plasma display, you need to develop circuit board to control the plasma, right? So that's the reason, later, people, they develop something very specific called GPU, like NVIDIA GPU, right? And the GPU, then you need to develop some code to control the NVIDIA GPU, right? Okay, this is the history. This history means large-scale AI application studied in education. But question is why Plato's system did not sustain? That's the reason, they are too early. At that time, there was no internet, no PC, no fancy programming being. Okay, but the system, that project was solely depend on the national funding, like NSF. Okay, once the money is gone, then you don't, because it did not make profit. Timing, it's about timing. So that's the why, now I think we are so lucky. We are so lucky. We can do many things we can. Particularly, we can make dream come true, personalized learning. Okay, here is another example from the same Time magazine article. Okay, it's about adaptive learning, personalized learning. The two students, these are the real example, a company called the Newton. They developed such a system, and so many students, they like it. Okay, just like you have so many things to learn, so many classes or so many learning steps. It's about students, the learning routes can be different. So somebody can make a left turn, somebody can make a right turn. The learning routes are totally different. Eventually, everybody can learn, right? Why we have to force every student to follow the same steps, right? I think this is very important. At that time, that was 20 years ago. At the time, technology is ready. The internet is ready. They delivered us by the internet. Well, also the technology is so advanced at that time, about 20 years ago. And okay, people already used machine learning to train the computer to grade some performance-based task. Because for many assessment, people are using multiple choice items, A, B, C, D, you pick the item. But what about SE? What about some game-based assessment? Okay, this is an example called USMLE, step 3. Okay, this is for what? For physician. To assess, this is a final exam. Okay, can apply to see if this physician can apply biomedical and clinical knowledge essential for unsupervised practice. So this is just, create an emergency room for a doctor. So everything is a game, okay? And so this is something, very, very cutting edge. Just like this is one example. A patient was brought in to the emergency room by ambulance. The patient was 65 years old, accountant, and oxygen was administered during the transportation. The patient could not talk, and the patient had very sharp pain. What should you do? You are the doctor, right? So what should you do? Now, the function of a doctor working in emergency room, there are four major functions. One is you need to perform exam. You need to do physical. You need to check what's going on. The second one, you can write a prescription if you know what happened. You can say, give some patient this medicine, or you can send the patient to surgical unit to have an operation. Or you need to manage your time because you are the doctor in an emergency room. There are so many patients. It's not only one patient. You need to spend time on other patients, so you need to manage time. You are not supposed to stay with the patient from beginning to the end, right? You need to manage your time. The last one is change location. Change the location. You can send a patient home or discharge a patient, or send a patient to intensive unit, something like that, observation room, something like that. What should you do? Okay, this is totally, it's not multiple choice item, right? Well, definitely you should pick the first one. You need to do exam, right? When you click the exam, then listed what kind of exam, so many exams, something about psychological evaluation, something like lung chest and skin, everything. If you check all the boxes, then 3 hours, the patient may die, right? You need to, because the patient had a pain in chest, then you need to do chest, right? You need to do several things about this. So this is just to share with you, this is an item. It's a purely performance. It's just play the game, right? But how could a computer rate the student's performance? Machine learning. Machine learning, first of all, we need to sample a group of patients and let real doctor to, no, we sample a group of students, right? We let doctor to read them, establish, the foundation. And then we need to, this is called the data, right? Once you have the data, you need to establish a mathematical model. To train the computer how to read, how to mimic a doctor's performance, right? Once you establish a model, then you also need to do something called the cross-validation. You need to sample 7 group of students. These students not only be rated by computer, but also rated by real doctor. If the results are consistent, then the model is well established. This is machine learning. Okay, machine learning. Okay, so now this is a widely used model not only for medical assessment, but also for many professions. Also, like essay writing, like GRE essay, they call it E-rater. It's a machine learning. Okay, you sample group of students rated by teacher, then you train the machine how to rate students according to the teachers, what teacher would do, something like that. Okay, so this is about, the technology. Okay, like, when you check the several, one is you check patient's neck, check chest, check the heart, and then it will tell you it's about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Should you do it? Of course. You cannot save this for 4 minutes. You have to do this, right? Something like that, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting story. Okay, so now I want to discuss, why we need to AI. We use AI is because there's a need. Like so many doctors, we want to assess their ability, right? But how can we do this without technology? We need to hire so many professors from medical school. They are too busy. They are too expensive. We have to use this technology. We have to work on this vivid example, simulation, and to do it, right? So it's not about AI is good, we should use it. My question is why we need to AI? Because there are so many things cannot achieve, cannot do by our human, okay? Of course, teachers can always teach better than computer, but for the given situation, what's the resource we could have, right? We have like Purdue University, like these giant STEM classes. Every year, one class can have like 1,000 students, even 2,000 students enrolled in the same class. Okay, then how many TAs? And then we need to think about AI. AI can help us to do something. Challenges, what are challenges? Identify areas where AI can provide value or assistance. Open source AI platform facilitate development of a tailored application. Okay, here I give you another example. According to ChatGPT, China produces roughly 6 to 8 times more STEM graduates than the US annually. But look at what happened here. Many STEM gateway courses. Okay, here we have gateway courses. Like if some students were admitted by Purdue, then they have to go through this, they have to pass these gateway courses, like calculus, algebra, these called gateway courses. You fail, you have to switch major. These gateway courses are very important. But many, these students, they were top students in their high school. Once they were admitted by UIUC or Purdue and many universities, they found that they could not get used to it because of the large class. Okay, that's happened. That's happened. Then there's a rate called DFW. D means the student receives D. F means students receive F. W means the students withdraw. DFW rates are very high. Okay, how can we deal with that, right? It's not that the student cannot learn. That's because the situation is different. Okay, so that's the reason we thought about we need to equip teachers and students with AI-powered tool. And then these two can help them to solve the problem. And just like a personalized assessment, okay, personalized assessment towards individualized learning paths. Okay, every students are different, right? Through this personalized assessment you need to receive, you will receive a report. That report will tell the student what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. Okay, in old days, we use a test to test students. We call the norm reference. We just rank who is the best, who is the second best, who is the worst. This is called a norm reference. Now we are talking about a criterion reference. So criterion reference, we don't compare students with students, we compare students with the knowledge. How many skills we taught, how many skills you have learned, right? This is called criterion reference. Okay, so what happened, the problem is very serious. This is a statistics table taken from a large university, public school in the US, DFW rates. These are all math class. You see, one class, 2,486 students enrolled annually, right? Then DFW rate is almost 30%. That means 30% of students they were top students in their high school, but eventually either they have to switch the school or they switch the major. Okay, this is a very bad situation. So that's why we thought, okay, AI can help. AI can help because I'm a psychometrician. What psychometrician can do? We design personalized assessment delivered by the computer, and the computer, through the internet, right? And then we just divide the semester into four tests, the final exam. And also this one is midterm. Through this term, we just send students invitation if we realize the student needs some help. And then, once these students were identified, we just provide ask them to play with the system. Each time they can play the system in their dormitory, they can classroom, library, at home, right? Just do some questions, then tell the students what's going on, something like that. Then finally, finally, pass or fail. Okay, found that very effective. That's a project I participated in when I was at Urbana-Champaign. Okay, now I have an ongoing NSF project at Purdue where we are collaborating with a group of genius physics educator and from University of Iowa State University, from Montana University, and they developed system about more than 80,000 students are using this thing called LASSO. Yeah, if you search LASSO system, you will find that it's about college students, something like assessment system. So through this assessment will generate information, so this is a very large scale. And this one, is we also train our graduate students to write code. So code writing is very important. Okay, we need to deliver this system. We need to hire somebody who can write code. And also we need to design item bank. We need to calibrate items. And all these, can be very tedious. However, in the future, because we're talking about, large language model. Large language model, once we can use the large language model, then large language model can help us to simplify so many procedures. Right now, we develop a test that we need to recruit teacher to write questions. Fortunately, many physics teachers, they have already had old items, many old items. Like Purdue's physics department, they have like 20,000 used items. And some of them with data, we can calibrate by conduct data analysis to estimate item difficulty level, item discrimination power, and these kind of things, right? And but in the future, some students, current students are doing some project about AI agent. AI agent means, these large language model like ChatGPT, like OpenAI. Okay, you can describe what you want to do. Then the platform will give you some specific program available online. Because so many people, they're so generous, they have already published, released their code, available code. Then you just use that code, but you should be very well trained. You need to validate if the code is what you needed, right? Instead of you writing code from the first line to the last line, there are so many available code. But once you have this code, the platform can give you the opportunity to play with the code, play with your data to see if that code is right for you. Okay, this is our next step. Well, as I said, the students can, play with the item bank at home or in dormitory and through the internet. And then each time, each session, they will receive the report. Or this report can be shared with parents or shared with teachers, your ATA, they can identify what problem you have. Of course, right now, I think the problem is, okay, we have so many students, but we don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough TA. Now, how can we do this? Just like Time Magazine, technology can help to get this than ever before, closer. In the future, the next one is called online. Yeah, I will discuss about online learning later, a little bit later. But before, that I want to share with you the importance, why our measurement is so important. Because no matter what AI application, you need to have interaction with the student, with subject, right? And how can you do this? Right now, you just like a chatbot, you just type sentence and the system can give you some answer. But that is for the simple application. If your task is so complicated, you need to have an interaction. Just like you see a doctor. Doctor asks you a question, you give doctor answer. According to your answer, doctor asks a second question, right? Should be something like that. So that's the reason I'm so excited about my specialty, computerized adaptive testing. Just give student the answer. If the answer is
Yes, sir.
give student the item. If the answer is wrong, the next item should be more easier. If student's answer is correct, I will increase difficulty level. Something like that. This is called adaptive testing, called personalized assessment. Yeah, I think now, a very important thing is AI. Now, AI, for most AI systems, physical measurement is a piece of cake. Just like a distance measure, just like all kinds of measure, like you fly drone, you just drop a bomb, they can measure the distance, the picture, just like a Tesla driving, okay, automated Tesla driving. Just they use the 5 cameras to measure distance. All these is okay, AR of these things. But psychological measure, there are still so many unsolved problems. Okay, so this is about human thoughts, human emotion, human behavior, and these constructs are not directly observable. We call them latent variable, right? You should develop some question to ask students if you like this, or if you don't like this, or if you like that, something like that. Just like a doctor asks questions adaptively, sequentially, right? So this is about our specialty. Here is something very vivid. We give students the first item. Yeah, blue means the students answer correctly. The second one, we increase the difficulty level. Then students also answer correctly. The third one should be more difficult than student answer incorrectly. Then we just reduce the difficulty level, right? So eventually, some more difficult, some easier, so eventually, these sequences will converge. So we just accomplished. We precisely measure the student's true ability. If too easy, if too difficult, if students receive 100% correct, you receive no information at all. If students' score is 0, you don't have information needed, right? So we try to measure what is exactly the student at the located him or her. Okay, then the algorithm actually is very interesting. This kind of task is a binary variable, correct, incorrect, correct, incorrect. Okay, before computerized adaptive testing, people in medical science, they already developed something called quantum response model. Okay, this is a statistical model. Okay, for what? For the LD40, LD50. LD50, the legal dosage 50 means, okay, when you develop a drug, all drugs are toxic. And how much the dose you can prescribe, right? If too much, you kill the patient. If too little, you won't help patient. So little dosage means at this dose, patient may die with 50% chance. For all drugs developed, FDA needs to this data. How can you do this? You just, you can try different amount, different group, feed the animal with different, according to different amount. Then you will kill too many animals. If we can do this sequentially, we can save lots of life, right? You feed a mouse, you feed animal with some drug. If animal does not die, it increase. If animal died, you throw away the animal, grab a new one, you decrease the trade. So that eventually, the sequence will converge. Converge means, that's the little dose. So this is called efficiency. Efficient means you can do this quick, more precise. You don't need to kill too many animals, right? So this model later introduced from medical science by Fred Law, and he proposed something used for the adapt testing. You manipulate difficult level of item. If B means the current difficult level, if student answer is correct, the next Bn plus 1 is the next item's difficult level should be increased or should be decreased, depends on whether students answer this item correct. So this means, once you have the model, you have a formula. Once you have formula, you have equation. And then you can write your computer code, right? Then the computer will do the job for you. Okay, so of course, the real application should be much more complicated, but this is to give you some idea. The next one I want to emphasize is our diagnostic model. In our psychometrics, not only we need to pinpoint students' true score, like a math ability, like 75, if 75 is 100 from 0 to 100, 75 means 75%, something like that. If two students, their ability are the same, but their mastery level on these skills may not be the same. We just, here, something like, skills we are teaching. For 7 skill, the first student missed the previous 4, but mastered the next 3. But next student, their profile different. This is, once we see 0, that means the student needs help. Once we need 1, then we should conversation. This is not your estimate, this is instead, this is your classify. We classify, you belong to this category. We classify, you belong to this category. According to these digits, then the computer can generate a very, very informative report to the teachers. Okay, so this is called cognitive diagnostic model. Well, the next is something from adaptive testing to adaptive learning. Now we can do adaptive learning. Adaptive, just like Newton's example I showed you, right? At the beginning, 0 means time. Time 0 means the beginning. 1 time 1, time t is a time sequence. So at the beginning, we just measure the student. We measure the students receive. Okay, here is intervention. D is intervention. And this is the students, the status, like a 0, how many 0, how many 1, which is 0, which is 1, right? And then we just measure the learning gain. If a student gained something, if a student has improved, okay, we can measure this. So we measure students latent class and a cafe intervention. That means we just train the students to learn some material. And then we measure students again. Then we measure this if the students gain, something like the digits change. Originally it's 0, now become 1. That means we can count this. Okay, according to this one, we just give students a new training This is in computer science for the learning policy. Learning policy means what kind of material we should gather for the students. Is the material too difficult or is the material too easy, right? So this is called the adaptive learning. So this is our goal, from adaptive testing to adaptive learning. If we can do adaptive learning, then personalized learning, can be achieved, right? Okay, this is, I'll give you an example. This example is several of my former students did, just like train the three-dimensional visualization. And some professions like a dentist, if you try to become dentist, then you will pass some kind of exam. Many exams about this rotation. Like the question is originally this one, just after rotation is that. Then as this one, this one is should be go there, should go up to this one, right? Definitely not this one, definitely not this one, not this, this. But some students, they are not good at it. But our system is to train students, just how to rotate. According to students' performance, we can do something. This is simple, this is more detailed. This one is only one demo, this is all two demo. Just like a training according to students' sequential learning. Okay, this is, of course, this is experimental based research, and they hired 200 undergraduate students from psych department in Illinois. They did this, they wrote this code. The purpose is to validate their formula. Okay, so when I served as the president of the Psychometric Society, I made a report. This report called the presidential address at annual meeting. In that annual meeting, I proposed something from adaptive testing to adaptive learning. That was in 2013. So I'm one of the pioneers who proposed this idea. And so this is about this. Now I want to move to my last topic, striving for lifelong learner, to become a lifelong learner. Okay, as you already heard, I'm a late bloomer. I'm not a nerdy. I'm not nerd. I'm an ordinary person. Because when I entered the college, I was 24 years old. Okay, because I spent 7 years as a farmer, right? And then, when I graduated, I went to the testing company, worked there for 7 years. Then Professor changed from UT Austin to CRUC to Purdue. Just, I always, tell myself, you can do it. You can learn it. Always keep my curiosity. So now I'm a named professor. I'm a fellow of 2 important organizations. Also, I served 2 times as Fulbright scholar. One is Australia, the other is Columbia. Okay, so I think, so that's the reason of the signal, that's the message I want to send. AI research is inherently interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. AI is everywhere and for everyone. It's not computer science only. It's not engineering only. Several of my, I should say, some of my former students, they came from education, came from literature and humanity background. Okay, and today, they are doing so well. They are becoming expert in academia, in industry, including industry like this famous company like Google, like Amazon Web Service, like NVIDIA, Facebook. Okay, I want to give you a very specific example. Professor Chang Jingzheng, he was trained as an English teacher in China. So when he came to UC, okay, I told him, if you want to become psychometrician, you have to learn undergraduate math. So he took math one by one during the summer. Okay, calculus, algebra, linear algebra, these real analysis and probability theory, statistics, and later he received 2 degrees. One is a PhD in educational psychology, master in statistics. And now he is a very important AI researcher in Shanghai, in East China, long years. Okay, we invited him to make the presentation about his work. His work is how to combine psychometrics with a large language model to improve various aspects of essay evaluation. It's about Chinese composition. Okay, how to use the assessment, inform the system. System will generate the prompt. System will analyze the student's performance. Okay, this is a very important work. Okay, his presentation is online. You will see he is a VIP now. I just met him several months ago. I found we are behind. But they are talking about play with the GPU, and their department ordered the several hundred GPU. They just how to connect, how many GPU are needed for this task, and they train the data, something like that. Well, I found him we are behind. But he was from English major, right? Well, finally, I myself is a lifelong learner, not only for my work, but also daily life and a personal interest. What I'm doing currently, I'm building a very fancy called combi heat. What is combi heat? Combination, combine hot water with heat. Okay, this is very complicated, right? These copper pipe, you have to learn sew, use a silver, and you have test the pressure, you have to do this, do that. I found, I enjoy it. I can always find this learning how-to material from YouTube. But YouTube, you have to be very smart to select some video which just fit your skill. And sometimes, I watch several, then eventually I couldn't understand this, I couldn't understand that, but this one, I got it, something like that. So in the future, large language model can help us to select these tasks so that it can simplify my learning. Here is a simple task. Several years ago, the coil of my Jeep was broken. Then I just searched Jeep front coil break, and then some video. I watched the video, then I just order the parts, just replace it by myself. Okay, also like many things. So I should encourage you, like AI, no matter which discipline, which area you are, or in the future which university and which program you are studying, AI, the door of AI is always open. Okay, so I will end my presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Professor Chang, for that. It's extremely inspiring talk. And now we have a couple minutes for all the audience to ask questions.
Yeah.
Cool.